Today's show is presented by Lisa Mattresses.
Yes.
Do you find yourself distracted, forgetting things, making mistakes at work?
Quite often.
A quality night's sleep makes all the difference, Tone.
Yep.
The right mattress is the difference between resting and just laying down. Everyone knows it. We all have Lisa mattresses.
True.
Okay?
All
the
of us.
Lisa mattress is the product of more than 30 years of experience in mattress engineering and hundreds of hours of testing. Comprised of 3 foam layers that provide cooling, pressure relief, body contouring, and support. Over 300,000 happy Lisa sleepers agree the Lisa mattress gives them the rest they need. Best damn mattress in time. Your Lisa mattress ships direct to your door in a convenient box with free shipping and free returns. Find the right mattress for you at lisa.com/heartland and get the rest you need tonight. We got the Black Friday sale
That
coming
one,
up.
yeah.
Get up to $350 off any mattress plus 2 free pillows if you use the URL lisa.com/heartland and enter promo code Heartland at checkout. That's LEESA.com/Heartland, promo code Heartland.
Hit it, Bailey.
Yeah, kick it on back and crack a cold one. Yeah, the boys are about to go on. Just shoot us in, letting it ring. Hey, let's go. It's time for Heartland Radio.
Here we go. A little bit of a special episode. By that, I just mean changing it up a little bit. We're not going right into conversation. If that's what you're wanting, then you're screwed. I'm bringing to the table something I'm interested in. You're about to listen to it for about 40-some minutes, I believe. So
Give it a chance. It's good
Enjoy.
stuff.
here's the deal. There is a podcast that I fell in love with. It's a true crime podcast. The name of the podcast is Culpable, and basically it chronologically breaks down the death investigation of a young man by the name of Christian Andreacchio from Meridian, Mississippi. And basically, his death was ruled a suicide after a very, very short, I would say, that's using a gentle euphemism, police investigation. And then what Culpable did, the members of Black Mountain Media that made Culpable, they not only told Christian's story, but they also did some independent investigation and kind of reopened it from the public's perspective, and it got a lot of attention. I heard about this from a lot of people. I had to check it out for myself, and after doing so, I wanted to make sure we had the host, Dennis Cooper, on. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dennis Cooper.
Yeah, Dennis!
Hey, buddy. Hey, first of all, just let me say congratulations on Culpable. I know it was a huge success, but it's also it's very, very, very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you and I talked briefly the other day, so you know a little bit about my background. So I'm just saying that as a consumer of true crime. I'm also saying that as a 21-year veteran of the Indiana State Police as a detective. I found it still very intriguing and very well done on the investigative end and the storytelling end, which is hard to do. I will say, Culpable, I've listened to some true crime podcasts. This was very unique. The approach to it, the content within it was very unique and very well done. So you'll hear more about this story as we get into this. That will grab you, but also let the fact that it's truly an authentic product grab you as well. All right, so Dennis, give me some background on you, how this case came across your radar, and where your interest in true crime originated to begin with.
So the three of us, Mark, Jacob, and I, launched Black Mountain Media in early 2018, and we were just kind of tossed around a couple different stories that we had. We knew that you can't just put something out there with no name and make a huge splash and therefore make a difference in a case when you're talking about doing a true crime story. So we knew we wanted help on that side of things, on the exposure side. And so thankfully we had a long-standing friendship with Tenderfoot TV, who produced multiple hit podcasts such as Up and Vanished and Atlanta Monster. And so, you know, we knew we wanted to partner with them. We had pitched them one show, and there was a little bit of interest. And then we were kind of doing research on that. And then come June, probably of 2018, we had another story fall in our lap. So CrimeCon 2018, Nashville, Ray Andreacchio, who's Christian's mom, her niece is at the CrimeCon event, kind of just shopping around the story to various people there and telling them about it and seeing if she can get some interest from various media. She got our contact information, and then Ray followed up a couple weeks later, and the rest is history. So the truth is, it sort of fell in our laps. She trusted us as this is going to be our first go at this. So, it's a huge trust exercise here. You've poured your life into this for 4 years, and now you're kind of letting us run with the story and take the pieces you've gathered. So that's essentially how the story fell in our laps at Black Mountain Media and how the relationship was formed with Tenderfoot to partner on this.
Okay, and I want our people to know, part of the reason for doing this, at least on my behalf, is even though this case has been ruled a suicide by the investigating police department, and that's where the case status rests right now, it's been disposed of as far as they're concerned. Mm-hmm. I'm going to consider it an unsolved case right now because as you'll hear, there's just no way this should be classified as a suicide. So you guys have a reward up, $100,000 reward. Your production company, Black Mountain Media, has up right now. If there's information provided that leads to solving this case or getting it reopened as a murder, I guess, then someone can claim $100,000. How do they go about doing that before I forget?
So, they can reach us at tips@blackmountainmedia.net, or they can call us and leave a voicemail at 470-300-4915. And we take each of these seriously. So if there's, seems to be substance, we will definitely respond and look into anything that comes our way. Okay,
so when you got this case, when you decided to take it on, I guess you quickly discovered. All right, first of all, give us background on Christian. He was he 21 years old at the time of his death, and he worked on a tugboat there in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And I guess he was fast tracked. He was just really good at his job. He was going to become they thought the youngest riverboat captain in that region or for that company's ever had. Mm-hmm. So yes. Promising young man. Everybody loved him. No one had a cursed word to say against him. And definitely no one could have expected that he would do something like take his own life. And when the police investigation starts, kind of walk me through, in your opinion, how the Meridian Police Department's investigation went.
So, from our understanding, that's been the main issue with this case going anywhere is because of how it was handled out the gate. It's, something that can't really be stressed enough is that when police responded, the chief of police at the time, inserted himself in the situation and from what we know, one thing led to another, and it was shut down after, based on the reports, approximately 45 minutes, and it was deemed a suicide, and that was essentially it for the time being. Now,
and it was by gunshot wound.
That's correct. Yeah, single gunshot wound to the head, to his right temple, with an exit wound.
And because this was so out of character, which sometimes that happens, by the way. If there's sometimes there's suicide, it's just, there is some denial on behalf of the family or whatever. That does occur. So I want people to understand that. It's not like that's a rare occurrence or an unnatural thing. But there were some real questions with body positioning, where the gun was found, the entrance wound to his was in a weird, awkward position, which you were able to point out on the podcast, which was great detective work. And it was like the top of the ear and toward the rear of the ear. So it wasn't really the temple as you think up here just behind the eye socket. It was like at a weird angle for someone to point a gun to themselves, a right-handed person, and pull the trigger. So there were a lot of questions. I think a lack of blood spatter within the bathroom, yet trace of blood spatter on the outside of the bathroom door, which was allegedly shut when the suicide occurred. So a lot of weird, hinky things you would think that law enforcement, while processing the scene, would think, you know, maybe we need to dig a layer deeper than maybe just what the two people that allegedly found the body are saying. And that really wasn't done initially, right? It was just, well, look, looks good. Looks like suicide to us. Let's wrap it up, boys. Let's go get some lunch. And that was it.
That's correct. Yep. That's what all indications point to, you know, and to not knock Meridian Police too much is once the family gave pressure, they started to look into things. But, you know, as, you know, many other victims' families have probably learned, it really hurts when you don't do it right out the gate. Right. And I'm sure you know that as well from your experience.
Sure.
So that really hurt things because, you know, a part of me says, you know, I understand. You walk in, I don't know what the best word to use, but classic gunshot wound to the head, must be a suicide.
Sure.
You know, friend called in, said it was a suicide. Okay. But then, like you said, there's all these different elements, you know, and you think about the body being in rigor mortis, even though this is only an hour after the 911 call is placed. The lack of blood spatter at the scene, the blood on the outside of the door and in the hinge, as you pointed out. The gun was found manually decocked under his left leg, which he was right-handed.
That's a good point. Like this Kimber 45 has a feature, for those who don't know, that you once you fire, it's in double action. The hammer locks back for the next, so it's single action on the next trigger pull, right? It's designed to make it a better combat weapon, basically. So there's a manual decock lever that you have to hit in order to get the hammer dropped again to go back to double action for the stronger trigger pull. So
That's right.
This had been decocked, which anybody knows, like you guys know, just from kind of common sense, when you put a 45 round through some brain matter, it's over. Like your body shuts down, drops to the floor, it ceases to animate. So you're not going to be able to decock the weapon, basically. So all these things, basically, just like you would think, they're like, okay, yes, it's natural for a mother to be in denial. It's natural for a father to be in denial. But we do have these other things that aren't exactly adding up. Perhaps we should do some more work because we're getting paid. Why not? We're here. We're getting checks this week. Why not look a little further into it? And it just blew my mind how quickly this case was just wrapped up, put a bow on it, and done, despite these things being pointed out. So I know that this was years of the mother, Ray, trying to get the case reopened. And when not having success with that, she like had to hire her own private investigators and kind of pursue seeking enough evidence or contradictory information to eventually find the help with getting it reopened because no one was going to do it for her. So how long had she investigated on her own before she finally got help from you guys?
So since pretty much the beginning, you know, I think there was, you know, a couple weeks and just kind of dealing with the shock of it and the funeral proceedings and everything. But once the dust had settled shortly after that, you know, she realized initially that she just didn't believe that was the case, which, you know, a lot of people point to as, you know, most mothers in that situation are going to be in denial.
Sure.
Which, understandable. But then she started to take a deeper look at things and essentially started doing her own investigation. I mean, before she ever hired private investigators or experts, she was looking into things on her own and calling the bank and Chick-fil-A and trying to retrace the steps of one of the persons of interest who were there. And those types of things, and just slowly gathering information and sending in FOIA requests for documents and trying to obtain the police report and so on and so forth. So she had poured herself into this and still does to this day and will continue to until there's justice, I'm sure. And so, you know, to rewind a little bit, when we got connected with her, she kind of gave us the run through on the case, and we said, or I said to her, what do you have here? Like what substances are there? I understand, like, based on the story alone, that's a lot of red flags. What do you have? And she's like, what do I have? And she sends us all these files she had accumulated. I mean, it was hundreds of documents, and it was anything from Twitter posts that persons of interest had made to official police reports to forensic experts she hired, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
You have a lot here, and you've done a really great job on this, and you've collected all the pieces you can that were dropped from day one. And so once we saw that, it was like, we got to do this. Like, let's go to Meridian and let's sit down and talk through some of this stuff. So she'd really done a lot. And the biggest thing was, she did hire private investigators, like you said, but she also hired a forensic a ballistics expert and a crime scene reconstructionist, Knox and Associates, out of Jacksonville. And then she also hired Dr. Jonathan Arden, who is a renowned forensic pathologist and is the president of the National Association of Medical Examiners. And he came to the conclusion that it was homicide, and laid out everything in a report very neatly of all the science and why things don't add up in the case.
So, and it's, man, I tell you, it sounds like a movie, which it probably should be, but it just still blows my mind to this day that you can go to your local little police department and be like, look, I'll pay for it, but I've got like a world-renowned forensic pathologist to review the autopsy now, instead of Joe Blow, elected coroner, who was farming his field last week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it is in Mississippi. In the state of Indiana, you don't have to be a doctor to be a coroner. Sometimes it's a mortician. Sometimes it's just a regular Joe Blow citizen, believe it or not. Usually you're lucky to get a nurse at least or something, but it doesn't have to be a doctor. And that person gets to pronounce manner and cause of death. And it's ridiculous. So to get that kind of help is a good thing. But a lot of times police, I think, are so territorial. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, I don't want to look stupid, instead of just admitting, I don't know everything. Hey, you're a cop, for Christ's sake. Nobody's asking you to be a forensic pathologist. Welcome the help. But they didn't. And this crime scene reconstruction, this guy, very qualified, has a great career in law enforcement and forensics before he started his own firm. Both agree too. He's like, this is the way the scene's set up. The diagram, all this stuff measured, blood spatter, the absence of and presence of in other places. There's no way this is a suicide.
That's the sound of the hair just jumping right off your face after you've done a fresh shave with Dollar Shave Club.
Nice.
Zapped! When I talk about Dollar Shave Club, I can't stress enough the quality of their products. They spent years developing, crafting, refining everything. They have everything I use to look, feel, and smell my best. You name it, they have it, and I use it.
Nice, dude.
Been a Dollar Shave Club member for years, and I also hook my old man up every Christmas. I get him a subscription as well.
He loves it. I bet
It's a
he loves
nice,
it.
easy gift, and it keeps him clean and handsome.
And handsome.
And as amazing as their shave stuff is, Dollar Shave Club is way more than just razors. Dollar Shave Club has you covered head to toe. They have everything you need to shower, shave, style your hair, brush your teeth, and yes, even wipe your butt.
Ooh, nice.
The Dollar Shave Club can keep you automatically stocked up on whatever products you use. You get what you want whenever you need it, whether that's once a month or a few times a year. I never have to waste time in the store wondering if what I'm getting is any good, because I know as a Dollar Shave Club member, everything is the highest quality possible.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you can put the quality of Dollar Shave Club products to the test. Their Ultimate Shave Starter Set has basically everything you need for an amazing shave. The Executive Razor, I know you've all heard of it.
Yep.
The Shave Butter, the Prep Scrub, and the Post Shave Dew.
Oh.
The best part is you can try it for just $5. After that, the Restock Box ships regular sized products at regular prices. Get your Ultimate Starter Set for just $5 at dollarshaveclub.com/heartland. That's dollarshaveclub.com/heartland.
All of these experts agreeing with Ray, the mother, and still getting no help. So then you start to think, which you cover very well, something's up. Somebody, they're on purpose. They're purposely not reopening this. Is there some sinister meaning behind that? Or, somebody trying to cover something up? So you explore that as well. And I'm not going to expect you to pass judgment on anybody on this show for that. Just say when you listen to it, you're going to come up with your own conclusions that maybe there were certain people in certain positions that had things to hide,
Like
or people they were trying to protect. And if you want to expand on that, you can. But I don't want to walk you into that corner and then expect you to cast an opinion on that. But
I think what you said is fair. That was something that we felt strongly that we didn't want to give our opinion on that, and we felt that way at a lot of different things, and wanted to be able to just lay out everything and let people gather it and make their own opinions.
Which was well done, because that's what you did. I mean, you as an investigator, you stayed mostly objective, and then left the subjectivity up to us. Just, here's the facts, make your own decision. And that's what part of the reason why you guys are going to like this podcast. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my opinion is obviously there was foul play, but we didn't want to, frame it in a way that, every episode is just like, oh, we know for sure something happened here and here's why. It's just more so, let's just chronologically, or as best as we can stick to chronologically, because you're dealing with 5 years here. It's a lot of time to cover. Just stick to the facts and the reports and the evidence, and lay it out and let people gather the pieces. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely evidence, I would say, that really makes you suspect or question whether there's some level of cover-up going on here.
And when someone dies, usually, whether it's you're investigating it under the preconceived notion that it's a suicide or not, usually you look, part of your job is to establish, still what's the story behind it, right? Because you want to provide answers for the family, even if it's a suicide. Answer as many questions as you can. What was going on in his life that day? Sometimes that simply provides closure for a victim's family. And there were, the first thing you do, I think you look at what's changed in their life. Is there a sudden change in their life where we need to start looking? And there was a very obvious one here where Christian had a high school sweetheart type girlfriend. He had dated for a very long time. The families were close. Everybody got along great. And then she pursued like veterinary school, I think, or something like that, and had to go away. So they were like, hey, let's take a break. And in doing so, Christian got a new girlfriend who wasn't really fitting in with the family. She had a drug problem, but she bragged about on social media on a regular basis, just causing a lot of drama. And it was really upsetting the family dynamic. So they start digging into Whitley. Also, she was one of two people that found him after he passed. So it starts with Whitley and Dylan. Whitley being his girlfriend at the time, Dylan being his best friend, but also friends with Whitley at the time. Huh. And I don't remember, was he a roommate or was he just often at their apartment?
He was not. He would state that he wasn't really there much. No, he was not. He was not a roommate. It's kind of hard to gauge who was there because Christian's brother Josh lived there as well. Okay. He worked on a towboat as well, and they kind of were on different schedules. So a lot of times they weren't both there. So, but Josh, I've become close with him as well. And one thing he always points out is he's like, the guy had a toothbrush here. So take that for what it's worth.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, as far as we know, he wasn't living there or a quote unquote roommate.
Okay, and then when you work on a towboat, you are gone on a 30-day hitch, right? And then you're home for 2 weeks, and you go back out for 30 days. That's kind of your schedule. So there was a lot of time for Whitley, the girlfriend, to get bored and pursue her hobby, which was evidently meth and Xanax, and with her friends, and kind of turned his apartment into the party pad for her and all her friends when he was away, and he funded it. He funded it all. So this is why Ray, the mother, was not a fan of her to begin with. And with that happening, I guess, now you got to look at what you guys did. Like, is there something surrounding the new dynamic with Whitley that maybe is responsible for his death, if not a suicide, or even if so, did it contribute to it? So, what were you able to find out? Just quickly summarize what you're able to find out. What was going on in Whitley's world, in connection also with the forensic examinations with the gunpowder residue and whatnot.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we weren't able to get a direct account from her. Obviously, she had no interest in speaking with us, which I totally understand. But from other sources who were close to her, we feel like we had a decent idea of, she definitely seemed to have some bit of a troubled home life, and was into drugs at the time. I can't speak on much more beyond that, other than I know obviously she was having an affair with another person of interest at the time of this, that had occurred the day prior, supposedly. But yeah, I mean, the Ray was certainly suspicious of her. I mean, she was suspicious of her enough to, have somebody go stake out the apartment from time to time to, because she just didn't trust that, she was being faithful to her son. And, she'll be the first to say, I know this sounds crazy, but, she stands by that, as she knew something was up and she had a bad feeling about where it was headed. I don't think she ever anticipated heading here, but she definitely had a good feeling about it. And so, when you have the police bag their hands and test, like you said, and she came back positive for gunshot residue. And in fact, before they were going to test, she made the mention that she would test positive because she was shooting guns the night before, which, you can Google search and find out really quickly that there's just no way in hell that she had gunshot residue in her hands from the night before. And shower or no shower, wash your hands or no washing your hands, whatever. It's not going to stay on there that long based on normal activity. Not to mention she supposedly had sex that night, so that probably would have done a number on the gunshot residue there, I would think.
Depending on what kind. Yeah.
What's that? I
said depending on what kind of sex, more so than But and I'm not making light of anything. The guy she was shooting with, the guy she had the affair with, right? That she cheated on her boyfriend with, him and his friend. But then yet there's conflicting stories too on even whether or not they went shooting, and even if so, a lot of people are saying she didn't shoot any guns. So just convenient. I mean, it's very suspicious at best. And then he leaves early, right? He interrupts his 30-day hitch on the boat and says, I've had some kind of emergency or something. I have to leave. Comes up with an excuse, leaves, comes home early. By all accounts, with those that would know, with the intention of catching her in the act of cheating on him and then breaking up with her and taking back a vehicle that he owns. So now it builds even more like, oh, okay, now you're coming home to kind of upset her life right now. That's, she's been living like off of him and, been funded this party life that she's been able to maintain and do whatever she wants, and now it's going to be taken away the drop of a hat. At the very least, there's going to be some drama occur at the apartment at the same time as suicide occurs. Very weird. And then we have the gunshot residue. She made I found this interesting. You tell me what you think about it, and if this is too insidey, we'll edit it out. But
sure.
She at one point tells early on in the investigation, or at least early on in your podcast, that she makes a statement to the Meridian Police Department that he had, being Christian, had modified the trigger on his Kimber 45 to make it an easier trigger pull, more, like precision shooting. Sometimes people do that. But the mother and the people that would know said no, he didn't. And I guess it was even checked out. The trigger had not been modified, right?
Correct.
By ballistic folks. So you end up, and I'll come back to that, why I think that's interesting. Whitley goes on after this passes, by the way, this case through Ray's efforts, ends up in the hands of the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation in the attempt to get a more legitimized investigation from a bigger agency that's maybe a little more impartial, has more resources. And she doesn't really have any success there either. She gets a brand new detective assigned. I mean, it's like everything that could go wrong for Ray goes wrong. Like, we just hired this guy, so we're giving him your case. And he evidently has very little interest in pursuing it. So he kind of rubber stamps it. Nope, yep, looks good. Looks like suicide. So nothing from there. She does end up getting the help from a friend, a family friend, I believe, that is like a big wig kind of in the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics. Is that right? Or was she with the Attorney General's office, one or the other?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics.
Okay.
She was a retired Mississippi Highway Patrol.
Yeah, so got a little more work done there and gets the attention of some other folks, but still ultimately lies in the hands of this DA at the time, his district attorney, who was by no means making it easy to get this reopened. But at some point, it passes to a grand jury. It gets submitted to a grand jury. And for people that don't know, I think this was in 2017, if I remember right. So a grand jury is basically, it's one-sided. The state, there's no defense. The state, it's very easy. I'm going to tell you, it's sometimes too easy to get indictments from a grand jury because there's no defense table. Mm-hmm. It's just the prosecution or the DA giving their side of the case, usually because they want an indictment filed. And in this case, it looks like they came in right off the bat with just, here, we're going to present you this suicide just so you guys can not indict anybody. I mean, it's actually the way it was presented. Like, there was a video right at the beginning of a reenactment of another case that was similar or something. It's like, yo, see, it's kind of like this suicide that we looked into. Like that's how
correct.
That's how they opened the grand jury.
Yeah, that was part of the presentation, was a video of another case of a man who shot himself. Now I'm trying to think, is the exact same weapon or a very similar weapon, but yeah, there's a way to show, like, see, not very much blood spatter on this, video,
right?
Of just not. I mean, that's just, I don't know.
It's not good police work.
I can't say how they should do a job, but I just kind of feel like that's not probably the best, representation to use. But that's the route that they went. And I mean, they did include, when we finally received the case file, it had the quote unquote presentation there. So if that's what it was,
yeah.
Supposedly, it did include the synopsis of the Knox and Associates and Arden reports, which were the specialists that Ray hired. But outside of that, it was kind of just the conclusions that they've reached along the way, which in my opinion includes a lot of confirmation bias on the way.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that video is so bad, and the science that it represents is so bad that if it were to go into a regular criminal trial, the defense would have objected. Just be like, no, we don't need that much of an advantage. You guys you shouldn't be that stupid. Like, that's bad science. Like, that shouldn't be admitted, At least give yourself a shot at getting, murder filed. Mm-hmm. So it's that bad. And then confirmation bias and the other stuff happens a lot. You see it a lot in documentaries and stuff now, where confirmation bias is basically just, you already make your mind up on what the outcome of the case is. So you only start to pay, yes, like it was represented there. So you only start to pay attention to the evidence that supports your theory, and you just find excuses or you just quickly dismiss anything.
I do that with gambling.
That refutes it. We do that in gambling all the time to justify our bets.
Dinner bell. But I got nothing in the fridge. What am I going to do?
What are you going to do, JC?
What am I going to do? I'm ordering from Postmates.
Great idea. Yeah! Great idea.
When you need red wine at 4 p.m., sushi at 9 p.m., a breakfast burrito at 8 a.m., and ibuprofen at 10 a.m., Postmate it.
Oh.
Postmates is your personal food delivery, grocery delivery, whatever kind of delivery service all year round you need. Anything you're craving, Postmates can deliver. They're the largest on-demand network in the U.S. and offer delivery from all the restaurants, grocery, and convenience stores and traditional retailers you could possibly want or need. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, Postmates will bring you what you need within the hour.
Love it.
No more trips to the store. You don't even have to know where the store is. Postmates will deliver anything to you. Download the app for iOS or Android for free. Browse local restaurants and businesses and track your delivery in real time for a limited time. For like a very limited time. So I'm not sure what it is. It could be an hour.
Get on it
Could
now.
be a few. So you got to download it right
Good
now.
time, not a long time.
That's right.
I know why. For a limited time, Postmates is giving our listeners $100.
Jesus Christ.
Of free delivery credit for your first 7 days. To start your free deliveries, download the app and use code Heartland. That's code Heartland
That's us.
for $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days when you download the Postmate app. Anything you need, anytime you need it, Postmate it. Download Postmates and save with code Heartland.
When it goes to that extent, basically, I guess it's kind of like, on a law enforcement standpoint, like, look, everybody's done what they could do, and Willie's life goes on. She I guess a lot of people in that area, when they find themselves with not much going on in the world, they just take off to Key West, Florida, and it's
Good move.
couch surf for a while. That's what it sounded like. And a lot of people in their circle were doing that at the time. Whitley does it with their friend Jordan, and you take this thing to a whole nother level. Like you have this friend who owns a private investigation firm that you contact, and talk about what you did there, because I've never seen this in a podcast before.
Yeah. So one thing that we felt, strongly about was we wanted to use what resources we had to really give this a good chance at moving forward. And so, as I said, to rewind a little bit, that was one of the reasons we wanted to partner with Tenderfoot, was to get this a mass exposure, to hopefully have 1 million people hear this. But then also on the investigative side, we're not experts in that, but same thing through, we have a relationship with Sheila Wysocki doing work on her podcast that she does called Without Warning. And so, just on a whim, I knew she stayed really busy and is usually working multiple cases, but I just kind of cold called her and, hey, what's going on? And mentioned this case. And she was busy at the time. So we just kind of kept moving forward, and we're making calls out to people and didn't know if we were going to really do much on the ground or not. One, you got to budget that kind of stuff, but two, it just kind of changed the dynamics of things. So we were really hoping she would pull through, and then, maybe about a month later or so, she did. She was like, I sat back down, looked at this. I just really want to get involved. I really don't need to be doing this, but I'm going to get involved. And she, hopefully she doesn't regret that now. She's still very, still very heavily involved. It's a very busy person. But yeah, bless her. She and her team, and we just were trying to, acquire her. And, she felt strongly like, there's a lot of people here and there's a lot of different cities. Do you mind if I get some other people involved? She has a whole network in that field of other people she works with. So there ended up being, I think we mentioned 8 in the podcast, but I mean, really it was probably, maybe 10 or 11 people who did some form of traveling or investigation on this case.
Right. And it's I could tell right away, your friend Sheila, knows her game, because she, I think one of the first things she said to Ray, the mother, when she had the phone call that you aired, was, listen, she being Whitley, she's told someone, probably more than one person, what really happened. And you've got to find those people. And it sounds so simple, but from a police standpoint, we're dealing with drug addiction. We're dealing with every person involved on the wrong side of this thing is a drug addict. They're the easiest people to flip, easiest people to get information on. I was just like, why didn't the police just follow them around, let them get in a car, stop it for a traffic violation, and call a drug dog? You would have them, in possession of meth. And meth people do not want to be in jail because they're going to get dope sick. They will tell you anything they know, And I'm like, why? This could have been solved in a week if they would have done their job. But now you got people with that right mindset trying to do it. They have the disadvantage, I guess, of not having police powers or whatnot. So their job's even more, it's more difficult. But they are finding these people and interviewing them, and you've recorded it all. I mean, it's playing. Like, I'm listening to surveillance happening where you guys are calling off vehicles and switching spots.
Yeah, the work they did was phenomenal. Really impressive stuff. We relied very heavily on them. We didn't really know what to expect getting into it. We just knew there was interest, so we went and visited her and showed up, and there's like 8 other PIs there. And I'm like, okay, and they start whiteboarding everything out, and we get there, and I get handed a binder, and it's got like profiles on everyone, and like by profile I'm like 2-page profiles on just
like full dossier.
Yeah, so I guess they did whatever sleuthing they did or calling whoever they did to gather what they could, and had already kind of found out where these people were most likely residing, and they knew based on suspicion of corruption and cover up here, and based on these people, some of them having records of their own and having involvement in drugs. Like, this isn't something where we want to go camp out in Meridian for a few weeks.
Right.
Like, we're in and out, so it's all hands on deck and divide and conquer, and that's really what they did. So they came at this so organized, just really impressive, the work they did, and they were able to talk with most everyone on the list. Unfortunately, as the story goes with this case, is most people don't tend to be very helpful. And it kind of usually seems like when you talk to these people that they're still holding something back. So, yeah.
One person that was helpful, and by the way, everything I'm describing to you guys, it's the part of why I say this podcast is so unique and authentic, and that's why you should listen. They spared nothing at going after this, with full commitment, and that's what you got to do. That's what the cops should have done, but these guys are doing it, and they should be commended for it. And not only that, they are putting up a $100,000 reward for information leading to the resolution of this case. So you should be proud of what you've done. And this is the part we can edit out if I'm going at it too much or whatever. But there's something I found interesting from a detective standpoint, and I want to go back to her bringing up early on for seemingly no reason that he had his trigger modified, it squeezes too easily. Then you guys, one person did cooperate was I think one of your investigators tracked down Jordan, who was her best friend for a long time at least. And Jordan had said to your investigator, or maybe it was recording to police. I don't remember. You can correct me. But she said to someone, and this was, I think, episode 11, that Whitley told me I did it. I didn't mean to do it. I have to tell you because I have to tell somebody because it's tearing me apart. Or it's eating away at me. When I listened to that, right away my mind's eye went back to the earlier episode where she talked about, for no reason, the trigger pull. And I thought, well, sometimes, like, people, and I think Sheila talked about this to Ray during your podcast, is people have this innate need to confess. They want to be truthful. It almost tries to crawl out. So sometimes when you're speaking with them or interviewing them, they're having this inner monologue that's telling the real story up here in their brain silently, and they're able to control not uttering it out loud because they're afraid of the consequences. But sometimes because that's going on in here, and it's almost deafening to them, that they'll say something that is a small confession. It may be cryptic or whatever. So when she said, hey, he had his trigger modified, squeezes too easily, I thought, man, what if this was happening to her at the time she was being talked to? And she so badly wanted to say what she said to Jordan, to the police, but was, again, afraid of the consequences, and instead just made this utterance, hey, by the way, the trigger squeezes way too easily on that gun. Because what if, and you've kind of, this is one of the theories, I think, that you proposed, that, for whatever reason, they're into it, and she has the gun against his head. And there's a sympathetic response that can occur when you yell or you tense up or you push a gun against somebody's head where you squeeze your hand. It just happens. physically. So what if, she did that, didn't mean to pull the trigger, but it goes off. Shouldn't have the gun to his head, for sure. That stuck. That's one thing that really stuck out of my old detective brain was like, I wonder if that happened with her, because it's one of the more plausible explanations, because I think there was talk of, maybe her and some of her friends tried to rob him in light of him, knowing she's going to be kicked out, things like that. So we don't know why the story, I wouldn't know, obviously, why she has a gun to his head, and that would be important to know depending on what kind of charge she would get. But I'm sure that it's something your whole group has looked at.
No, we haven't thought about that at all. You should have submitted that to the tip line.
Well, shit.
I'll just,
If that ends up helping you, we donate that back to recover some of Ray's expense, because I guarantee she spent that threefold.
appreciate
No,
it.
we don't.
Yeah.
Dick
said, "No, we'll take it." I think to me,
That's something I thought about.
yeah, that would have been.
I mean,
my first hunch was that, and that, and then you guys talked about on there the different charges, all legally accurate, of course. You guys do your research. Criminal, so let's say she's holding it to his head just because she's pissed, and she's like, "If you break up with me, I'll shoot you," and accidentally pulls the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Criminal recklessness with a firearm resulting in death, or whatever the equivalent to that charge is in Mississippi. Lesser charge, maybe some version of manslaughter if it's escalated a little bit more in the story. But if it's a robbery, now we're looking at felony murder. It doesn't matter if she intended for him to die or not. She committed the violent felony, and everyone else involved did, that resulted in the death of someone. Regardless of intention, everybody's screwed. So
Right.
There's still so much, even if that's the case, so much of the story to fill in.
yeah, and I think if it had been modified, that would probably have a lot more legs to it,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the reality is, like, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but, like, I think it has a 4.5 pound trigger pull. You have to pull on it. I mean, it would be, like I said, had it been modified, I think that could very much make sense.
Yeah, or kicked
not
into
to
single
think-
action with the
Yeah.
cocking the hammer back. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought that too, because it's weird. Like, I guess you make the argument she's trying to be helpful or something like that, but it's like in that case, I just imagine like, you just stay silent, and let them do their work, and so it's a weird comment to make, especially seeing as that's not the case to say this was modified in some way. And then as for Jordan, and yes, that happened in an interview with Gail Mills, who we referenced earlier from former MBN, and so she said essentially that she made a confession to her, which should be huge. That was quickly discredited as she's a young teenager or whatever, and
Really?
now she's gone on to say that she was like bribed to say that, which is just insane in my opinion, because it's not like you're saying, oh, she was dealing drugs, or oh, I think she knows something about it. I mean, you're implicating that she murdered somebody. That's not just something like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just bizarre.
let's at least explore
that's
it.
her story
Yeah.
now. So now she's not credible whatsoever. So who knows what to make of it? I mean,
Jeez.
with our investigators, they tried very hard. They talked to her. They exchanged contact information. They stayed in touch, and she continued to dodge them and wouldn't ever do a sit-down interview, which I thought was, really strange.
I tell you what, I don't know what's going on down there in Meridian, Mississippi, but don't die there. I mean, that's all I can say. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Jeez. It's incredible this day and age, but it still happens, obviously. I mean, there's countless stories like this. You know what comes after that?
Charge!
Meat racing down a track. Not the kind of meat I would eat. Some people used to eat that kind of meat. Now, it's pretty much just dog food and glue. I'm talking about real meat, tasty meat, the kind of meat you get from Omaha Steaks. You guys know I'm a meat eater.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite things in the world is to cook meat on a grill and then put it in my mouth.
Oh, you dog, you.
The holidays are coming up. Give the holiday gift. The families across America have loved for over 100 years Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks is America's original butcher, bringing families together since 1917. Order with complete confidence today. Right now, Omaha Steaks is sharing an amazing limited time holiday offer only for our listeners.
Give it to me.
Trying to get a jump on the holiday, trying to win you over. These are our friends, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
friends.
yeah.
This is a friendly company. This isn't a stranger. They've been around for a minute. They're our friends.
We got samples.
Go to omahasteaks.com and enter the code Heartland in the search bar to order the favorite gift package, the gift everyone will love, for only $69.99.
What a price.
What do you get for $69.99?
What kind of meat are we talking
You're
about
not
here?
going to believe that when I read it, but I'm going to read it anyway.
Okay.
4 6-ounce bacon wrapped filet mignons, the most tender steak in the world. 4 savory premium pork chops. 4 Omaha Steaks burgers. 4 perfectly brown potatoes au gratin.
Let's go. Give me my starches.
Potato gang.
4 made from scratch caramel apple tartlets.
A little dessert.
An Omaha Steak signature seasoning packet. Plus, that's right, plus, for our listeners, a free 6-piece cutlery set with a cutting board.
Cut that meat.
All this delicious food, plus the free cutlery set they'll enjoy for years to come for only $69.99. We're talking the most tender, the most flavorful. And you can only get these steaks of this quality from Omaha Steaks. Again, America's original butcher. Go to omahasteaks.com, enter promo code Heartland in the search bar. The favorite gift package, only $69.99.
What is that, a $700 value?
Yeah, I mean, they
Minimum.
They sent a few to the office, and I'm not sure if you guys have had the bacon wrap fillets yet. They
Tony, please.
are succulent.
Tony, please.
I
All right,
gotta
so
go.
you had it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm starving.
Oh,
All right, I'm starving.
You don't even need a knife.
Let's go eat. There was something I wanted to ask you personally about you taking on something like this, because it's not something you've done before. I feel like you really got put through like what it's like to be a homicide investigator, with the amount of emotional and physical toll it takes, because you spent a long time on this.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time on it. I mean, we still are, focused on it now, although we're not, in production. We are considering that. I feel safe saying that. There has been some recent developments, and so, but as for the project itself, yeah, I mean, we got started in, I guess that was probably July of 18. We released our first episodes in June of 19, and the release went weekly through September, or maybe even October, I guess it was. So, it was over a year, almost year and a half project of very much head down work, traveling and interviewing and, going to CrimeCon and doing a panel there and the 2019 CrimeCon event, in and out of the booth recording. And then the biggest hurdle is the writing process itself was something like I don't have necessarily any good experience in that other than shout out to my senior English teacher who was a very encouraging woman and very pushed me along, and I had a very impressive distinguished portfolio in English class. And that was the first time I realized I like writing, and I did it just for fun, on my own time, writing stories or even poetry or whatever it was. I liked doing it, and it was just something I never really pursued or thought I'd do a career in. Actually, for the longest time, I wanted to do music for movies, and so scoring, and so that was something that was always back in my mind, but started a family and never got to it, right? And so but when this fell in our lap, it just seemed like the perfect opportunity, because I have a huge I'm very into true crime. I fall asleep watching Forensic Files or Dateline or whatever it is, and I'm just always consuming it. If I'm browsing the internet, there's probably a 50% chance I'm looking at, something on a true crime story, especially now that this is the business we're in, right? But yeah, it was a consuming project, and it wasn't what I anticipated. It definitely took a toll on me and my family. I went from working a 9 to 5 with no really no reason to really work after hours per se.
Right.
Just had a nice, comfortable job and a busy home life. And then all of a sudden I'm working multiple nights a week and constantly on the phone with somebody or constantly emailing somebody or constantly following some new lead and, scratching my head until 3 a.m. trying to figure out how to wrap up this episode because, when we released, we had 6 episodes in the can and we're like, oh, we're good. Like this is going to take months to release. Like we put this together really well. Like we're solid. And then, of course we start nitpicking and working backwards and all of a sudden, it's time for episode 9 or 10 to come out and we're like, we don't have it. And so like the last 2 months of this project was just balls to the walls nonstop. There's no we can't really stop working on this or else we're not going to meet our deadlines. And it was important to us, for our partners at Tenderfoot and for the Andreacchio family and for our listeners out there, like we didn't want to miss a deadline. So that came the number one priority. And we also didn't want to lose like our craft along the way and the production value. And so, it's not something like a lot of people, it's funny, like put together another episode or whatever. It's like, a lot goes into that. More than I think like the average person thinks. It
shows.
And there's a lot of hands on this project.
When you listen to it, you can tell. It's almost mind blowing because you can just feel how much work went into that 1 hour episode. I mean,
I appreciate
there's really nothing else
what
like
we're
it.
going for.
And you don't need me to tell you this, but you're very good at true crime in the podcast form. You should stick with it. You are a very good writer. Scoring too. You're not bad at scoring. That was a really good score on there. Like
thank you. Yeah. I won't take
sells.
all the credit on that. I had a lot of help on that. We had a local artist who put together a lot of tracks for us for that.
Well, cool.
Guy by the name of Neil DeGrade with a group called Dirt Poor Robins, and he helped us craft a lot of the music and the sound for it. And then our partners at Resonate helped in the scoring process as well. Jacob, our partner here, is brilliant with that stuff too. So we would, usually once we put something together, spend a day sitting down, just tweaking stuff and moving things around and getting a good fit sound wise with the scoring. Yeah.
Well, my friend, I think you took this thing to a whole new level in that genre. So keep up the good work. We look forward to what you do next. If you haven't listened to Culpable, listen to it. It is fantastic. It's a great way to spend your time. And if you just need a true escape, and just sink your teeth into a really good story that's told really well, that it's going to piss you off a little bit. You're going to take a little roller coaster ride emotionally. It's perfect for that. And there's a $100,000 reward ultimately. So help spread the word to other people. Somebody out there has information that can get this thing resolved and get some justice done for that family and for Christian. And kudos to you and your whole group for taking this on. I know it's a passion project, but you took the time to pick one that you thought you could actually do justice with, potentially. So,
yeah. And can I add one more thing real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to say, because not everybody's following local Meridian news, right?
Right.
So another neat thing, like one thing we felt very strongly about at the end was a call to action for that. This needs to go to an outside hands, and so like this really needs to go into the hands of the Department of Justice. And so we kind of ended as along with the reward is this call to action of like, let's push people to do that. And we put petitions on our website, and his petition has over 50,000 people on it now. And they just recently, a few weeks ago, called a city council meeting and voted for the Department of Justice to get involved, and it won with a 4-1 vote. And so,
Awesome.
so that's really cool. Like, we're excited about that, and so maybe there'll be more on the way. We'll see what happens. I know they have to send that resolution, and it's up to the Department of Justice whether they actually want to get involved. But it's a good step in the right direction, and it's something that we're very excited about. And not only do the Andreacchios need that, but we feel strongly that the city of Meridian, Mississippi needs that as well. So we'll see what comes of that, but that's just a recent development that just happened in the last couple of weeks. So
that's exciting news, man. Congratulations on that, because Christian deserves justice. Ray deserves justice, and certain people, I think they're in that city, public official-wise, maybe need to answer some questions. So that's just good for everybody. So, hey, you're doing the Lord's work. Good job. Keep it up. And thanks for spending some time with us. I wanted to tell this story, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a good time. Anytime y'all want to talk.
All right, brother. Same here. Take care.
Awesome. Take care.
Give it up for Dustin. I almost said justice.
So she did it, right?
Dude, I think so.
Seems like it.
I mean, I genuinely really liked that podcast. And I was telling the truth. I was out into my truck until 4 a.m, finishing it. Because what happened was I got out there and I thought, well, just let me cursory, go through this on a cursory level or something for the rest of what I have remaining. And in the episode 11, I heard that statement I said that the Jordan girl said about, she said, I did it, but I didn't mean, I was like, immediately it popped in my head. Oh, that's the weird thing she said earlier about the trigger pull. Like, it didn't make any sense earlier when she said that. And I was like, now I have to listen to the rest of it in case there's something now that contradicts that, because this is going to be my opinion right now of what happened in this case. I don't know, man.
You blew it open, Todd. That's what happened.
You actually thought you were undercover in your truck again. Took you back to your glory days.
Binoculars, just spying in.
I thought it was pretty simple. It seems like her and the dude that she was sucking off while he was out on the boat.
He had an alibi.
Yeah, a little collusion.
That guy had a legit alibi. But she had some other unsavory friends, and there was a weird vehicle that showed up.
If you're
at
doing
some
meth,
point.
there's probably a lot of guys.
I looked her up. I mean, good for him.
Who, Whitley?
Something about getting sucked off.
Whitley's out there on the internet.
You always have an alibi while you're getting sucked off.
So it didn't know.
That's true.
It doesn't mean that she went to rob him. It could have been just the two of them fighting, and she
Happens all the time.
grabbed the gun and put it to his head and went. And like you said though, it does have a tough trigger pull. She's a girl, but
Whoa.
Sounds like we're dealing with a geeked up scumbag, just geeked up on
Tell you what,
smack.
we're all up on meth. That trigger pull is pretty easy.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
a good point. Good point. How pissed was she?
Yeah.
It could have happened that way.
You laid it all out,
Case closed.
It was using it as like a drug pad for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden he comes back. It's like, oh shit, this guy stinks. I just want to do meth.
Yeah, he's not happy.
How can I get rid of him?
She's pretty attractive for doing meth.
Well, you'll find there's a lot of them.
Really?
Yeah, I was undercover for a long time.
Really, meth
We weren't
heads.
dealing with all just ugly people.
Really?
Meth heads. They got some looks to them, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Meth heads are hot, dude.
it
Meth
takes
heads are
its toll
That's a lot.
eventually, but you're not always catching them in year 9 of meth. Sometimes in month 6.
Oh, see, I was always understood by the posters. The first time you did it, you lost all your teeth.
Yeah. Teeth turn black. You can start getting spots all over your skin.
I hope he doesn't think I tried to come. Oh, I solved your kid. You know what I mean? It's something that stuck out. But they do such a good job.
Well, you're a
with the
detective.
thing.
You're allowed to solve it.
I
Yeah.
felt like they said everything. I was like, this was really
Todd,
thorough.
you need to do a fucking true crime podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
We need to. What I learned is we just go down to CrimeCon and random women are going to walk up to us and tell us their
Give
stories.
you amazing cases to
Yeah.
look into.
CrimeCon also sounds electric.
Yeah, I think we
I don't know what goes on there, but
Could
we
you
need to get
imagine?
there.
I wanna go so
characters
bad.
of Crime Con?
Yeah.
So 2019 already happened, huh?
Yeah. I would. No, he got that in 2018. So
No, I'm saying
Yeah, he
said,
dropped-
he said they were at CrimeCon.
Yeah.
He dropped.
You're right.
CrimeCon
They had a panel.
2019.
sounds like
pretty
it's
big time.
June every year, maybe.
It's in Florida for sure.
No,
Yeah.
he said Nashville.
Well, it changes every year, Tony.
Yeah, probably travels around.
Why would you say this one's definitely in Florida?
Check.
Oh, it is.
Seems like a reasonable place for Crime Con to be. Let's be
I
honest.
figured it was in Florida every year.
New York,
honestly.
New York.
Oh,
Also,
Big Apple, Crime Con.
I'd rather go
Okay.
to Nashville, but okay.
I lied. It's Orlando. I just didn't want to come.
speaking of meth, have you guys seen the campaign in South Dakota?
Genius.
The
Yeah.
drug campaign to promote awareness about meth in the community?
Okay, I saw something, but the sound was real low downstairs on it.
Yeah, they're on meth.
Who?
They're promoting.
South
They're
Dakotans.
pro meth
All,
That's
everyone?
their tagline.
ads.
No, but you could infer that. The tagline is, they have a commercial running, the tagline is, I'm on meth. We're on meth.
And it scrolls past a bunch of average day people just living their lives, but they all quote, "I'm on meth."
Because they're on it.
Awesome.
There is that faction that thinks you can responsibly consume meth.
Who's that?
And still keep your job.
Do you
and
mean
all
like,
I think it's angled a little bit more like we're hammering on.
like they're on meth?
We're
Like
on
Yeah.
the case.
We're on
We're
top of
We're
it.
on
meth
meth
off the
hard right
streets.
now.
So they're just basically like, I'm killing it right now. Like I have all
Yeah.
the energy.
Yeah.
I'm just crushing life. And
no.
so
I'm on it.
No, like I'm stomping
like-
on meth.
So they're like trying to make this like part of the American vernacular, like slang term. When I'm really fucking on
Yes.
one, I say I'm on meth. No, I'm on it.
No,
Yeah,
you
like,
are
if you're lit-
100% wrong.
If you're lit,
Well,
you're on
someone is
meth.
explaining it
I'm
horribly
on
wrong.
fucking meth right
so
now.
the state,
Take a break.
the state is on meth. They're on the case of solving the meth epidemic.
Oh,
They're
no one
on
said
meth.
No one said that. You guys
That
just kept
was
saying they're on
nowhere
meth.
the explanation we were
what-
given.
They're on meth. That's what they say.
You're on weed, which is probably the disconnect. I'm happy.
He's on the weed again.
They're on
Stay
meth,
off
guys.
the
I
weed.
can't explain it any simpler than
All
that.
right, so they were going to rid the world of meth, at least their state.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, if you're going to do meth, you might as well be in South Dakota.
Might as well.
what are you talking about, dude?
What else are you going to do there?
Speeds things
Go,
up.
to
Go
fucking
see Mount Rushmore, dude.
Yeah,
Come
Mount
on.
Rushmore.
Yeah, but
For like the
or you
90th
can go to Mount Rushmore on meth, and then it's much
Way better
That
experience.
is a great counterpoint.
Ride a fucking cow to Mount Rushmore.
Well, the Black Hills are pretty cool.
Are they?
Yeah.
Brookings.
Brookings, yeah, bumping.
Yeah, you guys
Sioux
had a good time at
Falls.
Brookings.
Oh, Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls. I mean, there's some good places up in South Dakota.
Listen,
Branching.
that's where I'm going to retire someday. I'm not talking shit on South Dakota. But I'm just saying, if you're going to do meth,
Good place.
probably
to
the
be
place
for
to
it.
do it.
Probably where you start.
I mean, you're happy wherever you are if you're doing meth, I think.
I don't know. They don't always look happy.
That's because they're off. Well,
They're happy for a
Probably
while.
when they're coming
Yeah.
down, yeah. You catch them when they're going
Meth
up.
is a powerful drug. Dude. I knew this guy that in Shelbyville where we lived. He was my concrete guy. Like he was the best concrete guy
Oh, no wonder.
in town. Like people called him to do decorative stamping, around their pools. Like he cornered the market, was making tons of money, more work than he could keep up with. He had to hire shit out to other crews.
Yeah, easy. My dad's a concrete guy.
I know it's a good business though, right?
Yeah,
and
it's
this
great.
guy's like 25, crushing the game. And next thing you know, his wife gets a little meth problem, and then before you know it, he has a little meth problem. And there's a like 4-hour-long police pursuit through like 12 counties where he crashes out and ends up getting put in prison for like 7 years.
Damn.
And I'm like, dude, like that quick it happened once meth got a hold of him. Like this guy had it going on.
They say it's a gateway drug.
That's why we're on meth.
Gateway to hell.
Where do you go next from meth?
I think they confirmed. Did you guys see the homeless guy in L.A. who dumped like a bucket of hot diarrhea?
Yes.
on
Oh,
a
yeah,
lady? I'm assuming he was on meth as well. That is a crazy move. I kind of respect
A
it.
fresh hot
Poop
bucket.
bucket.
Can you imagine?
Steamy poop
No.
bucket dousing you? No, I can't
That happened to
imagine
me.
that.
Walking
I'd
down,
put a
like-
bullet right in my head.
Walking down like Rodeo Drive, like
Yeah.
seeing all the sights down in Hollywood, and just getting a 68-ounce bucket of diarrhea dumped out your head.
Yeah,
The-
immediately step into
Was
traffic.
it out of like a 3-story window?
No, I think he ran up and just dumped
Yeah,
it
yeah,
out.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
The
It's like
trauma
the
from
Globetrotters, except glitter. It was diarrhea.
Yeah. She's had to get like tetanus shots. She had to go and like when she went to the
HIV
ER, like
test?
she
She
exactly.
needs to be quarantined.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
she-
have just been euthanized.
She
Like, I
probably
would've-
stunk for weeks.
The scary thing is, there's nothing stopping any of the people that go around outside our office from doing that either.
they,
Like, they're-
yeah, except for they don't have buckets.
There has to be a community load bucket that they all.
If I
chipped
see a
in
bucket,
for.
I'm running. I'm not even giving it a chance.
I may put a bucket out there and be like, you know what? Start using this. Just wait.
Just dump it on Zito's car.
We should do that.
He keeps thinking somebody pukes in front of him. Next he comes out, there's a puddle of diarrhea. Stepped in poop again. It's not my feet, you guys. Stepping in diarrhea every time I get out of my car. Well, this has been a fun episode.
Yes.
As always, special thanks. You guys give Dennis Cooper and Black Mountain Media a shout out
Oh yeah.
on social media. Tell them they're fighting the good fight, and we appreciate everything they do, and appreciate the fact that he shared some time with us. Other than that, man, you spread the word on this podcast as well.
Yep. Yeah.
We're growing a little bit. I think we're seeing some new people, so that's good. It's all because of you guys. You're the best. Go to the store. Cool shit on there too. Be ready for Black Friday. That's all I'm going to say.
Good,
Get your
Punch in,
asses
punch out.
ready for Black Friday. And go to Fort Wayne this Saturday. See me do comedy on into a microphone. We're out.
Shout out the stick.